Well, you got to shake it off, especially when you get such a dominant win. You can't let that head get too big after the 41-10 win for Kansas City over Chicago yesterday. Let's welcome on and say hello to Kendall Gammon. The conversation is brought to you by Xfinity, the next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Kendall, are you a Swiftie? Welcome in. Good morning. Happy Monday.
You know what? I'm not a Swiftie. I like her music. I don't go nuts or anything, but I enjoy it. I think she does a great job. She's iconic in the music world. But do I go crazy and call myself a Swiftie? No, not quite that far.
All right, so he's not a Swiftie. The words of Kendall Gammon. That being said, that game yesterday, obviously, we'll get to the game, but just. The cultural moment that became yesterday with Taylor Swift sitting next to Travis Kelce's mother, confirming that there is some kind of friendship or more going on between the two. Had you ever seen anything like that?
No, I really haven't. And well, maybe at other places, I don't remember what, but not myself and around the team. And certainly this is the first time I've seen something like this at KC. It was definitely interesting. You're right. It did lend a different feel to the game, which quite honestly, the game was out of reach quickly. So it was more interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, it was. Now for the game itself, Kendall, when you look at this thing, the Chiefs, they're leading 34-0 at halftime. Game was essentially over by then. The offense, we've been waiting for it to kind of click here. What happened yesterday, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, that made you feel like, not that you were ever concerned about that side of the ball, but that it was finally making the progress with a lot of new faces?
You know what? I just think I think Kelce was running around better, and clearly he had motivation. But it's not going. There's no way you can't have fun with this probably the rest of the year or till the song comes out. But all the same, just the receivers were catching the ball. I think the routes were sharp. Mahomes. Just when you think you've seen everything. Some of the balls he throws down deep off of one leg and just kind of flicks it. He continues to do things that just normally didn't used to be able to be done. And so it's just pretty impressive. I thought the run game was great. I thought they protected him well for the most part. So that's it. And then again, when you have a defense playing the way the Chiefs is also that's a big deal also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's get to the defense. This may be the best defense Patrick Mahomes has had, and it might be the best defense in who knows how long for this Chiefs team, Kendall. How is that overstating it, or do you think that's possible?
No, I don't think that's overstating it at all. I think this is the best defense in decades for the Chiefs. And the NFL can't like this, the other teams, because it's bad enough that you got somebody like Mahomes and Kelce and what they can do offensively, but you throw in this type of defense with Kansas City, if they continue to put these type of numbers up or even near these type of numbers, man, I don't know. Because this sure looks like a top 5 defense, but certainly a top 10 defense, and if that's the case, that makes it difficult.
Yeah, it does. Now, when you look at what has made this defense special, of course, getting Chris Jones back has been a big part of it as well. And that's a guy, he does not look like a guy who missed, OTAs and preseason camp and all the rest. Heck, Chris Jones is making a strong case against all those offseason workouts.
That's funny you say that, because during the game, watching him and how he was just using the tackles a little bit and playing so well, and again, running around like you just mentioned, it made me start to wonder. I wonder, and especially you can go back to the Aaron Donald, several years back when he had out a couple of years and was the defensive player of the year and got the contract and everything. It makes me wonder sometimes whether teams wouldn't decide, do we need to actually grind as much as we do? Or certain people, especially as they get older, because I just see, he's a great player anyhow, Pete, but I just see fresh legs. And I think the guy has just got an advantage because he sat out of the whole training camp.
Yeah, well, especially as the NFL season it's only going to get longer, right? I think we know that we're eventually going to have 18 regular season games. It's just a matter of when, not if. I got to imagine as guys hit or get close to 30, that's not going to become uncommon.
No, I agree, and I think you will start seeing coaches hold guys out. I think towards the end of the year, Big Red will rest some of the veterans some, and they'll have a limited practice because of that. But I do think things will change because you're absolutely right. 18 games is coming sooner than later, and you're going to see everybody playing an international game as well. And we already have the 2 byes, or just the 1 bye, I guess. I forget 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of big things going with that. It's just one. I've got to remember where I'm at. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you're exactly right. I mean, things are going to continue to change, but it bears watching, obviously, to see if Chris continues to do the things that he's doing right now. I mean, obviously, that was not a good football team in Chicago Bears yesterday, but he played lights out last week also.
Yeah, well, I don't want to speaking of getting ahead of ourselves, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but it looks like one of the games of the year in the NFL might be the Chiefs and the Dolphins. The Dolphins are red hot. They hung a 70 number yesterday on the Broncos. That could be one of the great games of the season. It should be at Arrowhead. Instead, it's going to be over in Germany, Kendall. I mean, I get the international exposure, but usually it's, one of the ho-hum games of the season. That may be one of the best games of the NFL year. It's not going to be here. It's going to be over there.
Well, you're right about that, but when you think about it, Pete, it is sometimes a ho-hum game. Plus, you have to get up early and everything, and so they don't always have great ratings, even though they're wanting to do things. Now, all of a sudden, if things continue to go like they probably will, that could be the game of the year, like you talk about it. And at that point, you will see the highest-rated international game probably ever, and you'll have a great coverage for it. So, I guess some of it could go the other way too, potentially.
Yeah, true. If I'm the Chiefs and I'm losing a home game.
No, I'm with you. No, I get it completely. I mean, it would be absolutely bonkers. But the fact is, every game at Arrowhead is absolutely bonkers still. So,
yeah.
I don't know if this was their thought process, but either way. Now, that being said, I am going to be there. So, I guess I'm not worried either way. But I do get it.
Yeah. Well, look at this coming up here, Kendall. At the Jets on Sunday, they look awful. They lost to the Patriots yesterday. The Vikings are now 0-3. And then the Broncos, just gave up 70 points to a team. First time that's been done in the NFL since 1966. I mean, the Chiefs, if they're not sitting here at 5-1 going into that Chargers game, something went incredibly wrong. Fair?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This stretch, they're going to make hay for sure. And I know we talk about Chiefs every day, but you can't help. But, I've got to go back and look at the game book of the Dolphins and the Broncos, because I just don't even understand how you have time to give up 70 points in a game. That you said since 66, is that right?
Yes, 1966.
So that not even the modern era. It was back when they didn't even have helmet. Face mask. I can't even fathom it. When I saw it, I actually went to different apps on my phone just to make sure it wasn't a mistype, because I was just like, no way.
Yep. Well, it was not a mistype, and the Chiefs are in a very good position. Kendall, we will talk to you on Friday. We'll get set for the Jets on Sunday Night Football. Have a great week.
You bet. Take care, Pete.
All right. That is Kendall Gammon on KCMO Talk Radio. Yeah. That was ugly. Ugly for the Broncos yesterday. My goodness.
I think the last time that many points were combined in a game was Chiefs and Rams on that Monday Night Football game a few years back.
Oh, that's right. Was that in Mexico?
It was supposed to be.
Oh, that's
and
right.
It got canceled.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They moved it off of there. Sheesh. That was hideous.